Hello, this is Janet Sherritt, owner of the online bead shop The Crafty Beggar. Here is a demonstration on how to make a button bracelet. For this project you'll need some buttons, 15mm, 4mm bicones, 4mm pearls and an 8mm bead. You need 9 of each. You need a toggle clasp, you need 27 head pins, 2 crimp beads and some small seed beads. These are size 15. And you'll also need some 9mm ribbon. First of all, you have to cut about 10 centimetres of the ribbon. Cut it at quite a sharp angle. It's easier to feed through the button then. And then paint the ends with some clear nail varnish. And allow to dry, because this will make it easier to feed through the button. And it'll also stop it from fraying, which is handy. So you take the point of the ribbon and sort of roll it between your fingers, make it sort of really thin and pointy, and then feed it through the patterned side of the button, like so. And then take the other button and feed it through the blank side, like so. And then you have to feed it back down through the second button. And then back down through the first button. And it should look like this. Then close the buttons up and even the ribbon up a bit. You have to tie it just in a simple knot, and better to do it twice to make it really secure, like so. Not too tight, because you need to let the tiger tail in between. And then you neaten it up by snipping at an angle the ribbon on both sides, like so. And then once again with a clear nail polish, apply to the ends, and then apply a bit to the knot, and this will make sure that the knot doesn't come loose. And allow to dry. Now I've already done the rest of the buttons to save time, as you can see. Don't want to bore you sitting threading buttons on the video. Now you'll need your dangles to go between the buttons, so you'll need just to put a head pin on your 9 8mm beads, put an angle and just do a simple loop. But it's always best to make sure your loop is really close together. It's really quite a tight loop so that it won't fall off when it goes on top of the tiger tail. So I'll just snip it. And then curl it round, like so. It doesn't have to be perfectly neat, because it's going to go between the buttons, so you won't see it. So you do that with 9 of the 8mm beads, and then you do it with your 9 pearls. The pearls are a bit tricky, sometimes they don't fit on certain head pins. Just bear with me. And then you need to do it with your 9 bicones as well. So you'll have 27 dangles. I don't know if that's the technical name for them, I just like to call them dangles. And then just do your little loops. And then you'll be ready to string your bracelet after this. This is one of the bicones. Just your little snip and your little curl. You could do wrap loops if you want, but you don't need to because they're quite secure. Just doing it like that. Just make sure they're quite snug. So if you just put all your dangles in their little piles, it will help when you put it all together. So get your piece of tiger tail and then put a crimp bead on the tiger tail, like so, and then I put 13 of these little seed beads. I think they're size 15, so I've used 13 of them. It just depends on the length that you want your finished bracelet to be, but this bracelet will fit between 6.5 and 7 inch wrist. And then you just put it through the whole of your clasp, a part of your clasp, thread it back through the crimp bead, so pull it quite tight, not too tight, and then with your snapes just squeeze the crimp. It's nice and neat, like so. And then you could cut off your excess wire as well, just to neaten it up. And then measure your wrist and cut up, leave quite a bit excess, you know, because you don't want to be too short. There we go. Now you can start threading. So you have to find, there's a gap between the ribbon, and you have to find it and make sure that it goes through that gap so that your button's secured onto your tiger tail. So you find your gap, if you sort of pry the buttons open a little bit and then feed the tiger tail through it. It's quite tricky, this little bit, actually. Quite tricky. That's why it's best not to have them too tight, but also you don't want it too slack either. So just bear with me till I feed it through here. There we go. And now it's just a pattern of, you do your 4mm pearl, and then your 8mm bead. These are fire polished, as I said. Then your little bicone, and then another button. It all sits nice together. And then just thread all your buttons and your dangles on in that pattern, and then repeat the clasp part where you put your little crimp on, and then you put 13 seed beads on, like so, and then through your clasp, your second clasp part, back to the crimp bead, pull quite snug until you're happy with it. And then once again with your snapes, you squeeze the crimp bead just to secure the bracelet, and then give it a little snip just to neaten the wire quite close to the crimp bead. And there we go, there's the bracelet. I'll show you it on. It's really, really pretty. I'll just have to take my other bracelet off. Just give me a wee second. Take this one off. And there we go. It's quite vintage looking. It's quite pretty. Very spring-like. Lovely little bracelet. And got a little bit of sparkle there, a little bit of bling. So there you go. I hope it was easy enough to follow, and I hope you enjoy making a button bracelet.